Well, I'm up here tonight to pay a special tribute to someone that's made an enormous contribution to our club and someone that absolutely hates surprises. So if I'm a little nervous, I apologise for that, but it is my boss. But before I do that, can I just quickly say thank you to all our staff, our players and our directors for all their efforts throughout the year. And I've only just come to terms with this, but it was a fantastic year. I know it ended up with a little bit of pain and grief, and we're all coming to terms with that, but if we're good enough, we'll use that to harness our energy and focus to launch ourselves into next season and hopefully go after that 2012 Premiership Cup. So well done to all the team. Before we move into the formalities of our player awards, the club thought that there was no more fitting moment than to honour our outgoing president, Mr. Geoffrey Kennett. And Jeff, just in case you're wondering, it's 67 days to go and 5 hours, but I'm not counting. You can't question this man's commitment. He's been at his family wedding today in Mortlake and he's grabbed a helicopter back here, landed it on the river, gone home, got changed and has come here tonight. And I know tomorrow he's getting a helicopter back down to celebrate the family wedding. So thanks very much for attending, Jeff. It's an amazing effort. My relationship with Jeff started just on 2 years ago at a private meeting in a car park in Werribee. I was petrified that morning when we put pen to paper that saw me take up tenure as the CEO of the Hawthorn Football Club. But what amazing journey it has been, Jeff. Working with Jeff and for Jeff is simply like being on a major roller coaster. You hop on board with a little reservation, but an amazing sense of excitement. You go up, down, you twist and twirl, and you're never quite sure what's coming around the next corner. But I tell you, it's great fun, and for some reason you just want to go back for more. During Jeff's time at the club, he has demanded the absolute best out of people, and I know he has this unique ability of keeping people on edge. He's adopted that principle in all facets of his life, in every part of his business and professional life. And for those that haven't been Jeffed, there's plenty in the room that have been Jeffed. I'm one of them. I actually got Jeffed on an aeroplane, which wasn't very pleasant because I couldn't get off the thing quick enough and I was stuck in between two people. So being Jeffed is fun. When you get it done to you the first time, you're very, very scared, but after that you learn to cope with it. Underneath that hard suit of armour is a passionate and caring man. He hates me saying this, but a man who loves his family and especially his grandchildren. Football's extremely time-consuming, and I know when Jeff's finished in football, he is just looking so forward to taking the grandkids to the footy and spending some time in the garden with them. I should acknowledge the efforts of Felicity, better known as Flick. She's unfortunately not here, but she is down celebrating at the wedding. She has been beside Jeff's side the whole time throughout the journey, and if you look at her stats, it's 144 games and the equivalent in President's lunches. I don't know why she's so skinny, actually. Well done to Felicity. You're loving this, aren't you, Jeff? I can just see you there. I hope I've got a job on Monday. Jeffrey, on behalf of the staff, the players and our board, we sincerely thank you for 6 outstanding years of service. I know the AFL won't miss you, but we certainly will. Your results during your tenure speak for themselves, and if I can just run through these, it's pretty amazing. 6 years of consecutive growth in membership. In 2006, we had 28,000 members. In 2011, we have 56,400. Amazing effort. A partnership with the Tasmanian government that is envied by all. 6 years of consecutive profits, which I can tell you is very, very hard to achieve. If you add them together over the 6 years, it's 14.42 million. Amazing. A robust business model that sees Hawthorn with many non-traditional new revenue streams, and that will set us up for the future. Of course, the 2008 Premiership, and most importantly, an outstanding governance structure and a board that is united, something that's very, very valuable in football, let me assure you.
Thank you, Stuart. You're very fortunate that my influence is waning very quickly. To Amber and the team who put that together, thank you. but it denies one terribly important fact that we should never forget. No individual ever achieves a thing. And whether it be Steve Jobs, who died last week, whether it be the best player in the league or any member of the administration, it only is a team that genuinely delivers. And there are very few members of any team that are thought of long-term in the development of that organisation. We're fortunate at Hawthorn, we have a few. We're here tonight because of Peter Crimmins. We have some wonderful coaches, John Kennedy and Alan Jeans, Alan Joyce, and our current coach, Alistair Clarkson. We've had some wonderful players. We've had an army of supporters and an army of sponsors. But the thing that continues beyond any person is the passion that is best represented in the thing you can't put a value on, and that's our colours, brown and gold. And they will never, ever change. So while that effort was made, please, I thank you. The reality is it's just as important to be concerned about the future and change as it is trying to single out any individual. Stuart said we had a bit of a glitch at the end of the year, and we did, sadly. The year had been extraordinary, given the circumstances, the falling of some of our tall timber, the way in which Alistair and the coaching panel were able to craft through our young players the opportunity play in finals. And the reality is, at the second last hurdle, we fell. And I say to you, we fell not because our opponents won, but on the day we were not good enough to deliver. Not any one player, not any one coach, but again, the team failed. Our members, our sponsors, the administration. And I guess for many of you, that loss has been hard to take, as I know it has been for the coach and some of the players, and certainly for me. The last time I felt anything like that was in 1985, when I successfully led the Liberal Party to our first electoral loss under my leadership. And I was so convinced we were going to win that after I'd done the necessary interview on the Sunday after the election on Saturday night, I was almost in a fetal position for 2 days, not because I was depressed wearing one of my other hats, because I was so totally lost and in pain. And I had that feeling in the last week, up until probably the middle of last week, when I started to rationalise our loss. These opportunities come very rarely. And there's no guarantee they're going to be achieved again in the future. We have to work so hard again to make every post a winner. But having said that, our loss was not a tragedy. No one died, no one was hurt. We lost a game of football. But football is a very passionate asset, as you, our membership, subscribe to. When we lost, I guess part of me was bleeding for that 58,000 membership who had grown and stuck with us, some of us for very many years, 40, 50 years, that we as a team failed you. We do have to put it behind us. We do have to learn, and those who are involved have to understand that we can never let it happen again. There are some simple failings that we have to address, and I have no doubt we'll do it over the break as we go into next season. Having said that, I'm equally confident about the future. The club is in a very, very strong position, thanks, as Stuart said, firstly, to having a very talented board drawn from different professional sectors, with one individual who I'll name today who is not here, and that is Jason Dunstall, who is our only football representative on that board, but he keeps us in touch. He keeps us in touch with things football. He regularly communicates with the coach and the other players, he's been a very valuable part of our organisation. But as Stuart said, to have a qualified board that doesn't leak, that has arguments from time to time or discussions, keeps them to themselves in the interest of the club, is a wonderful asset. But we've also had an excellent administration. It's my view in every senior position you should either have the best or the second best person occupying that job. And membership and where we are today had nothing to do with any individual on the board. It was because of the creativity and the drive and the effort of those in our membership department, the way in which our merchandise sales have grown, the way in which we're entering into this IT market. It's all because the people who serve you, the members, are not only well qualified, they are passionate and they put in hours of time above what they're paid to actually deliver. And I say that of the coaches as well. We're very, very fortunate that we have within that coaching panel, led by Alistair, people of extraordinary values, good values, and have a creativity that allows us to adjust as we have adjusted in this year. And we were so close to competing in that last week, except we ourselves as a team failed. There is no reason, and I expect it to be the case, that we will continue to build. As you know, the board has made a recommendation that my successor should be Andrew Newbold. Andrew is sitting in front of me here. He's been on the board for a number of years. He understands the club. He understands the issues. And while I don't think nominations have closed yet, I hope, if there is anyone else who puts their hand up, if there is, then I hope that you will see fit to support him, because it will allow us to deliver to you the one thing that is necessary in our own lives, in our businesses and our family, and that is some degree of certainty, to have stability. And Andrew will deliver that in spades. That's part of our responsibility to you, our members, to ensure succession, to ensure certainty, and to position the club in such a way that it will continue to grow. To the players, some have been there all of the period that I've been president, some have come on more recently. I always said when I took on this job that I would try not to become too close to any player or coach, believing that as an administrator you have to be one step removed. And I've seen what happens to some people in senior office who fall in love with parts of the game or some of the personalities within the game. But I have admired the way so many of them have developed from very young individuals to sterling young men. And it's given me a great sense of personal satisfaction that they are part of a club that has a very good culture, very good values, and people throughout the organisation who will assist them, not only while at the club, but hopefully to prepare them for life beyond football. Footballers, unfortunately, are seen as role models. It's quite unfair, but they are. Their movements, the more recognised they are very much restricted. They can be so quickly put on the back foot by a claim that is made by an individual which has no substance, but can embarrass them very much indeed. On the other hand, the opportunity to play at AFL level for them is an absolute pleasure, and they do have responsibilities to each other, to the brown and gold, and to the supporters. And I'm very pleased that our players meet out that obligation, particularly you, the supporters, very well indeed. Can I just say to our sponsors, particularly Tasmania, it has been an extraordinary relationship to think that we are sponsored by a state government. But for those of you who read the papers over the weekend, you'll have seen a lot of material on Tasmania in either booklet form or commentary about the Mona Museum in Hobart. Tasmania has so much going for it. When I think that their sponsorship probably allows us to receive approximately 3.5 million, Stewie, somewhere in that order, of which we put $1 million back into Tasmania. But our sponsorship delivers to Tassie $58 million in economic benefit, as independently assessed by PricewaterhouseCoopers last year, 2010. There is no other sponsorship like it in the league that for an amount of money you can measure the impact of that sponsorship. And that's because so many of you come with us when we travel to Tasmania for games and stay 1 or 2 or 3 games. It's a relationship that is very, very special. It's not taken for granted and it never will be. To HSBC, to Puma, to Mirvac, to Bupa, all very, very special. But for each one of those, there are smaller sponsors, many of whom are here tonight, that give us the capacity to put a team on the field and to give to Alistair and his coaches sufficient wherewithal, not only to invest in new equipment and new people, but to look after the welfare of our players so that they can perform better on the field. Ladies and gentlemen, as we go into 2012, we come here tonight again to recognise individual achievement. It's terribly important in the history of the club that we continue to do that with our best and fairest, now named after that wonderful individual, Peter Crimmins. But I don't think there would be a player among the list today who wouldn't trade that medal for a premiership medal. As individuals, we do our best, but it's only as teams that we can deliver the one thing that we exist for, and that is a premiership. So can I just say to you all, as we gather, enjoy each other's company, as we salute those who are going to be mentioned tonight, and can I say their wives and partners who put up with a great deal during a football year, drink it in, enjoy the night, but make sure something stays in your gut over the next few months. It's a little lump. Mine's still fairly large. However good we are and however good we may be, and will be in the years to come, we let ourselves down this year. No point dwelling on it indefinitely, but you never want to forget it. Finally, can I just say to you all, clearly it has been a wonderful honour to have been given the opportunity to serve. We changed the Constitution so that any president should not stay more than 2 terms or 6 years. It was done for a very good reason. That after a certain period of time, if you commit enough, it's time for someone else to bring their creativity to the club and allow the club to move in a new direction. Not totally, but to build on the past. I realised on the night of that prelim final and the week that followed how correct that time was. I never thought football would ever capture me and my emotions the way it did that night and for the next week. I thought I was strong and tough enough to sort of stand back and just accept it. After that game and for the next week, I was so hurting. I knew I'd lost any sense of judgment whatsoever. But let me say this, the team that follows will be better. I just want to personally acknowledge another colleague of the board who will stand down with me at the end of this year, and that is Bruce Grocott. Bruce has brought the accounting profession to the board for the last 12 years. One of the reasons we're in such a strong financial position is because of Bruce's stewardship and his insistent requiring of our officers to explain and to deliver on your behalf. So Bruce, from myself, the board, our supporters and our sponsors, thank you for a wonderful 12 years of service. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, enjoy the night. Life goes on. No one died 2 weeks ago. We might have got close to it, some of us, but no one died. And we will always be Hawthorn. Thank you. Have a wonderful night.